Let's not get crazy.
The one that I had forwarded to MPP Kamari's staffer, she came back and said that one didn't work.
So odd. Okay. Give me 2 more seconds, please, lady. And we will be hopefully good to go. Technology is awesome when it works. Byron, the one that I really am trying to get in here is Carla Briones. She is got a pretty cool story. And just let me know if you see Carla Briones come up.
Will do. There's a phone number, just FYI.
Yeah, I saw that. Okay, so I'll open up the room and I'll kind of get the ball rolling, and then people are saying they still can't get in, but I'm not sure what.
It's probably because they're in the waiting room and they don't understand that.
Well, I don't even see Carla Briones on here. Bye.
Gotcha.
So if you could let everybody in, maybe is everybody good if we got going? Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Okay, admitting everyone now.
Thank you.
Hello.
Good morning. Sorry to keep everybody waiting. I guess the Zoom link is having a couple struggles there this morning where people are saying it's taking them back to the registration page for some reason. So we are going to try and get that sorted and bring in as many others that are trying to get in. So ladies, thank you so much for joining us here today. I think all of us in Ottawa are very fortunate to have Minister Jill Dunlop take the time to meet with everybody and hear everybody's thoughts and concerns about owning a small business here in the National Capital Region. So I'm going to have the minister introduce himself in one quick moment. If possible, we'd like to ask everybody to put themselves on mute until we call your name. That would be fabulous. Quick ideas here for you. Because we have so many people in attendance today, we're going to limit it, as we discussed in the email, to 2.5 minutes. Don't want to cut anybody off. Everybody's got very important things to say. So don't want to cut anybody off, but we do want to make sure that as many people have the opportunity to pose the questions that they would like to pose, and also give Minister Jill Dunlop an opportunity to respond. And so once your name is called, I would ask you to please go ahead, and we will time it. Once we get to the 2-minute mark of the 2:30, I'm just going to say 30 seconds. Please don't let it try and knock you off your pace. If I think that you're wrapping up, I'm just going to let you obviously finish your thought. Joining us today as well is MPP Goldie Gamari, and she is on the call as well too. So without
Hi,
any
everyone.
Hello, MPP Gamari. We see each other quite often now at these things. So thanks so much for joining us again. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to ask Minister Jill Dunlop to introduce herself, and then MPP Gamari, if you'd like to say a few words, and then we can get underway. That'd be lovely.
Great, thanks, Mike, and thanks everyone for being here this afternoon. It's so energizing to be with a group of women. Thank you so much for joining me here today, and I am so pleased to be taking part in this discussion. I also want to welcome my wonderful colleague from Ottawa, MPP Goldie Gamari. The success of small businesses is an integral part of our economic growth. This includes those that are women-owned. One study by RBC Economics suggested that in Canada, a 10% increase in women-owned small businesses could add $198 billion to our GDP. I'm a big supporter of women's economic empowerment and entrepreneurship. Both have taken huge hits as a result of the pandemic. But our government is determined women will not be left behind as Ontario reopens. There's no magical answer on how to respond to this challenge. Rather, there are several pieces to this puzzle that, when they work together, encourage women to pursue entrepreneurship opportunities, take risks, and grow their businesses. One piece is childcare, and I'm sure we'll have a great discussion on this today. Women need affordable, accessible childcare. Our budget highlighted that our government remains committed to creating more childcare spaces across the province. And we've shown that commitment with over 1,600 new licensed spaces announced last year by my colleague and friend, Minister Lecce. It is a focus of our government, and we will work with all partners to ensure more spaces are available when needed. Access to female-centered training and mentorships are also key. Right now, too many talented women are underrepresented among business owners in key sectors of our economy. We know women entrepreneurs are different from men entrepreneurs and have different experiences. And women often face barriers and biases in everything from access to training to raising capital. Businesswomen from newcomer, Indigenous, and racialized communities, as well as rural and northern regions, often face multi-layered challenges and lack of access to supports and resources. This also includes women operating in historically male-dominated sectors, such as tech, sports, or in the skilled trades. This is not a recipe for a full and robust recovery. Solutions need to be multi-pronged, targeted, and deep-reaching. 2020 was a year like no other. Our twin priorities in this new year are to keep Ontarians healthy and to begin reopening our economy safely. Our government knows and strongly believes women have to be part of this economic recovery from the get-go. So let's discuss today how to make our post-COVID-19 economy fair and prosperous for Ontario, which must also include women-led businesses. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Minister. We appreciate the time. MPP Gamari, would you like to go ahead and say a couple introductory words?
Great, thank you very much, Michael. And I just wanted to thank Minister Dunlop for taking the time to join us here today in Ottawa. It's great to see so much focus, I guess, in the Ottawa area, because I think sometimes, oftentimes people might think that Ottawa is sort of lost in the hustle and bustle of Toronto and the GTA when it comes to Queen's Park. But, you know, we've had so many ministers attend roundtables. In fact, last week we had Minister Bethan Falvey do a roundtable for the budget. And I think one thing that's really unique about Ottawa is the women, because even prior to being elected, I was part of the Women's Business Network. And I'm not sure how many of you are aware of that organization or are part of it, but essentially it's a group of women in business who support each other through social gatherings, meet and greets, you know, webinars, workshops. And I was actually part of that group for probably 3 or 4 years. And it was a fantastic opportunity. So I think it's great that there's so many women here today, because I think ultimately, in order for us to succeed. We all succeed as a team, and we all succeed together and when we support each other. So, you know, I want to thank everyone for being here. I really look forward to your thoughts and feedback, and learning more about how we as a government can do, you know, what we can do to support you on your journey to success. So thank you, everyone. And thank you, Minister, as well as Michael.
I was also going to mention Goldie being one of my female colleagues, that our Ontario legislature now has a record number of women represented, and that's with all parties. So we're increasing the numbers in politics as well.
That's awesome. Well, we really appreciate you guys both being here. I think it's going to be a great hour. So I'm going to move forward with the first speaker. Minister, I'd like to ask Carla Briones, who owns Global Pet Franchise and Freshie, to come to the table and ask the first question, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Michael. Minister, my name, as well as Michael said, is Carla Briones, and I am a woman. I am a female business owner. I'm a mom of 2 school-aged kids, and I am drowning. I am drowning in trying to figure out how to keep all my balls together, or all my balls in the air, because there's a lot of pressure right now. There's a lot of pressure to keep the businesses afloat, to make sure that I am helping my kids excel in a completely different learning environment, and as well trying to be, you know, the extracurricular entertainment. There is no more play dates. There is no more extracurricular activities that I can take my kids to. There are no babysitters. There is no visits to grandparents to relieve the stress that women are facing right now, particularly women business owners. I'm also an immigrant, so I also fit in that bucket. So my question would be, how is the government going to be helping us in terms of our mental health support, and in terms of our, you know, more support for women-led businesses? Are there any thoughts of particular grant programs? There are great loan programs, and I appreciate that, but that, you know, the reality is that it's digging us, you know, into a deeper hole. So are there any plans in supporting women like me?
Well, thanks, Carla. I think that is a great question, and I'm sure there's probably lots of people on the call who are juggling many of those balls right now, of being a caregiver and a business owner. I am a mother of 3 daughters, but luckily my kids are in post-secondary right now, which is kind of an expensive time in life too. But I'm not having to be teacher at this point with them being home. I can quickly say, connected to supports for families, not necessarily businesses, is for moms on the call, or guardians, is the Support for Learners grant right now for $200. That application does close on February 8th. And it had been extended to include secondary school students, so up to grade 12. So definitely it's a quick process. You can check out the ontario.ca/support for learners, and that grant is there. For businesses, we don't have anything exactly specific to women-run businesses, but I can kind of run through the grant programs that we do have provincially, which I think will be of interest to everyone on the phone call today if you haven't already applied for it. And I was telling Mike before I came on this call today, I was on a chamber call with my colleague and MP at home to talk to the chamber about the programs, and they're actually running what they're calling the 15-minute challenge, because they're trying to show businesses that it's a quick process. We know that you are business owners, and that's what you're good at. You're not typically grant writers, so we want it to be an easy process. So I love how they've named it the 15-minute challenge, because that's, you know, if you have the information you need at hand, ready to go when you click on the link, it should be that simple. So a couple of those programs that I will highlight is the Ontario Small Business Support Grant. So this is between $10,000 and $20,000 for eligible businesses. And this is for businesses that have fewer than 100 employees and who have been required to close or restrict services subject to the province-wide shutdown. So that's pretty much everybody. And it's also for those businesses who've experienced a minimum of 20% revenue decline comparing April 2020 to April 2019 revenues. But I will also add that new businesses who've been established since April of 2020 are also eligible to apply for this program. So it's definitely one that I would encourage everyone to look at. Once the application has been approved, and obviously that's going to be different for everybody because you have to submit, have your application vetted and then approved. Sometimes there's a bit of back and forth if everything's not clearly submitted the first time, but they are targeting to receive payment within 10 days after approval of the application. So it is very quick. I was talking with Ministry of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade, and Government and Consumer Services. So once that approval has been done by MedCat, Government and Consumer Services is able to start processing those payments immediately. So, I really encourage everyone to look into those programs. They are on the Ontario.ca website. You can also, I'm sure Goldie's office has links to those, as well as my office as well, just to try and, like I said, make it a quick and easy process.
Minister, I just posted the link in the group chat for everyone.
Okay, perfect.
It's there.
There we go. So one-stop shopping for that. There's also the property tax and energy bill rebates. So I'm sure many of you would be eligible for these. The $1,000 PPE cost rebate. So that was really targeting the small businesses that have between 2 and 9 employees. You just submit your costs for PPE, and that can be everything from your sanitizer, face mask, any kind of protection that you've put up for employees. So those are just a few of the programs, but definitely look into those. Those are grant programs, so different than some of the federal ones that are loans. And thanks for including that link, Goldie.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Minister Dunlop, and thank you, Carla, for your question. Minister, my next question comes from Tanya Hill. Tanya Hill is part of the Ontario Professional Hairstyling Association and owns Tapa Hair Salon and Beauty Bar. Tanya, if you'd like to go ahead with your question, that'd be awesome.
Great. So first of all, thank you, Michael, for facilitating this roundtable, and thank you, Minister Dunlop and MPP Gamari, for giving us the opportunity to bring our concerns forward. So I'm very appreciative to speak not only as a woman business owner, but also on behalf of the 32,000 hairstylists who are currently unemployed in Ontario. My ask, Ms. Dunlop, as the Minister of Women's Issues, is how will you get our compulsory trade, which is the 3rd largest trade of 144, that is 80% women, of that 40% self-employed, of that many self-income earners, heard by the health table. And when they say small business is big business, we are approximately 1 salon for every 1,000 people in Ontario. So how will you assist us in ensuring that we are not only heard, but consulted on immediate funding needed by our trade and future recovery funding that will be necessary to incentivize those of us who have been in the trade for many, many years to stay in the trade and weather the storm and not go underground like we know so many have. And also to continue to attract new apprentices, because our trade is not looking very attractive to new people coming in to build clienteles, et cetera, and we're being told to stay at home. So just to quickly recap, Ms. Dunlop, from March to March, most of us have been closed at minimum 5 months, depending on your geographical region. And the remaining months we worked under such restrictions and capacity policies that our industry has been really financially burdened. So I ask you, how will you support these objectives and how will you get us heard?
Thanks, Tanya. That's a very good question. I don't know if we have how many other hair salon owners we have on the call today. I just could see a few heads shaking. I think I need to get to my hairdresser quite soon as well. But I could tell the hairdressers in the room, their hair is perfect.
No, I still have big roots too. Just I'm getting more gray hair and that's helping.
No, we have, I have met with hairdresser owners, not only in my riding, but at the provincial level too, with our ministry. And I can tell you, before the lockdowns back in the fall, I did a skilled trades video with my colleague, Minister McNaughton, at a hair salon in Toronto, promoting that hairdressers are trades as well. And it's, when we're talking about the trades, it's not just the construction trades and plumbing, et cetera, but it's hairdressers too. So I think that is really important that we're always encouraging that. And I remember myself, I had a good friend who's a hairdresser, and she told me back in high school, the guidance counselor said, why would you be a hairdresser? And, I look at her now and was like, oh my gosh, why would you not be a hairdresser? I thought it was amazing what she was doing and capable of doing. So I think it's something that we do need to be encouraging and opening that up to all young people as a possible future career. I do recognize that hairdressers and, the beauty industry has been hit really hard. You were some of the final businesses to open up in the first phase, and have been, like you said, hit for 5 months in some areas, depending where you are. And if you were in a mall or out of a mall, that even made a difference in those areas too. So, we do continue to meet with the beauty industry. I think it's important that you're connecting with your local public health units. You could be doing that through the support of local council, but meeting with the local health units, I think, is key, because they are also then connected with the larger health tables and chief medical officer of health. So that was something I know we had recommended at the local level, to be able to have those conversations. It's probably much easier to connect with your local public health official than it would be with Dr. Williams. But we do take it back to the table, and I would encourage you to do so as well. But at the end of the day, we really do rely on the doctors to make those recommendations moving forward. I know we have February 10th is coming soon, and we'll be all excited and anticipating what the news will be moving forward, and hopeful that, as we've seen the numbers come down in cases across the province, that we're able to safely open.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Minister Dunlop. Up next, I have my friend and co-opetition, if you will, to my business. Susanna De Beer owns a party rental company called Fiesta. Susanna, if you'd like to go ahead, that'd be great.
Hi there. Like Mike just said, I'm Susanna from Fiesta, Ottawa. And I too saw a huge drop in my business during 2020. This drop has left me being the only person left in my business. I've lost all my staff. I feel a good job's been done so far by the Ontario government. However, more support is urgently needed to ensure an upcoming vibrant economy for many businesses, not just my own. My business relies on public gatherings and festivals and weddings and so forth. By limiting the gatherings, of course, the Ontario government has essentially closed my business. The Ontario Small Business Support Grant was greatly appreciated, though it cannot be the only one-time support it comes with. Many will require more funding, including me. The Ontario government needs to examine the hardest hit industries and have additional grant funding in place for businesses experiencing losses of 70% or greater, and continue to help fund their survival, so that we can actually serve our clients and fulfill the contracts that have already booked that are postponing, correct? For like weddings. We're asking also for the federal government to further regulate the commercial insurance industry. Policies are just not affordable. There is no break. They're high, as you know, and there's no revenue. So to pay multiple thousands of dollars for nothing is crazy. The federal program only covers 65% of small business rent. There must be funding in place to make up the difference. Most cannot afford the 35% differential, including us. There's not enough revenue to even do 35%. Expense savings suggestion would be to remove credit card processing fees from the payments collected on HST. Costs the government nothing, but the savings are there for the small businesses. Also for the 2021 budget, I'm hoping to hear more about potentially for retraining people like myself. Should we lose our business? We've been in this business for so long, we may need some new skills to do an entirely new career. And I'm hoping that one will come to the forefront as well, so that we're not all diving deeper into debt with student loans, because we're already leaving with a ton of debt. And I'm asking for you to take all you hear today back to the Minister of Sarkaria's office, as well as Minister Bethlyn Falvey and MPP Stan Cho. Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks, Susanna, for your comments. And, I'm not a business owner, so I can't imagine what all of you folks have been through in this past 11 months. I have had the opportunity to speak with business owners in my own riding and on calls like this. So I think it's, opportunities like these when we can take back that message to other ministries who are making decisions in those areas. We also had the Standing Committee on Finance this summer that met, and I believe they heard from over 800 respondents talking about ideas, creative ideas, things that government could be doing. So, we are here and listening and pivoting as we need to, because, think back to March of last year when I'm sure all of us probably thought, oh, it's only going to be a couple weeks and this will all be over. I mean, nobody would have ever imagined it could have lasted this long. So I think, we are always taking ideas into consideration because, the programs that are available, there's always going to be businesses who fall through those gaps. So, I appreciate the discussion that we're having here today. I think it's fabulous, and I will take information back to my colleagues in the other ministries. You made a good point on retraining, and the Minister of Labour, Training and Skills Development, they are doing a lot in this area. And I think that is going to ultimately will impact women at a higher level, because women are represented in or overrepresented in areas such as hospitality and tourism, areas that have been hit so hard that it'll be a long time before they recover to 100%, where we're back at festivals and hotels and able to have 100% capacity at things. So, we want to ensure that those supports are there for retraining, that we're taking the skills that people had in those areas and able to train them for other sectors that we know there's a labor shortage. So there is a lot being done in the retraining sector, and looking at what used to be the second career and how we can make that a better program to support people who need retraining at this time. But I will follow up with your concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you, Susanna. Minister, up next, I have Patty Taggart, who owns Tag Along Toys here in Ottawa. Please go ahead, Patty.
Hi there, Minister and Michael. Thank you very much for doing this today. I'm a registered early childhood educator and the owner of Tag Along Toys here in Ottawa. And my question to you is, when do you see, or can we see, more support in having our small businesses open up to smaller capacities? We're seeing all these big box stores that are open, and obviously they're not following the capacity maybe that they should be. With my store, I basically had my doors locked from March when this all started all the way until December 24th, had the doors locked. People had to knock to come in, and I only allowed between 3 and 5 people in my store at a time. My store is not huge, but it was still something that I felt very strongly about, as my staff, myself want to be protected. So we kept the numbers very low in our store when I'd have people lined up outside, which would cause me more anxiety because I felt like I wasn't going to meet all their needs. And it was Christmas time and it's a toy store. So my question is, can we please maybe look at, looking at opening up some of these small businesses, and we would be abiding by these lower numbers like we have in the past. I have lots of friends who own toy stores in Toronto who obviously were shut down a lot longer than I was or have been. And, we talk daily and I feel for them, but also have a lot of friends in the city of Ottawa here too, that do own small businesses. And again, following these rules of, keeping minimum people in our stores. And is this something that you could look at for us as small business owners, to get us open somehow, sooner than later? Because it's been really tough. I have to say, since Christmas, I had the worst January I've had in 19 years of owning my business. So that is my question.
Oh, thank you, Patty. That's a great question, and something that, you know, we do continue to ask the health table and the doctors to consider, because like you say, the larger box stores are open with a reduced capacity, but you know, even yourself, regardless of how small your store is, if you could have, you know, one person there at a time, would be better than nobody. So, you know, we will still keep pushing for that, and hopefully, if we're you know, in the clear to be able to open next week, that is something that small businesses will be able to do. I will tell you, I have loved curbside shopping. When you know what it is you need, I hope it continues long past COVID, and I can just put your order in and pop by and have it thrown in my back seat. But it's also important that people are back in the stores and browsing and shopping too. So no, we'll keep pushing that one.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister, and thank you, Patty, for your question. Minister, up next with the next question is Timothy Walker. Timothy owns a marketing firm called Tiger Lily Marketing. Please go ahead, Timothy.
Hi, so thank you for doing this. I'm going to introduce you all, because this is our life, right, to my dog. Because I spent 25 years on television with CTV, and I thought about like, oh, getting ready and putting on a nice outfit, and Tanya is going to like kill me that I didn't do my hair. And I see many friends on this. And I kind of feel, after being the storyteller in Ottawa, one of many, for 30 years, I feel a little bit like a mama bear. I want to circle back to Carla Briones's question about mental health, but I just wanted to give you some background a little bit, in that I have the Queen's Jubilee Medal. I have been the Women's Business Network Woman of the Year for Business, all of that kind of stuff that came with CTV, which was great. But this is me at home in April, 84% reduction in my marketing company. We're back up to about 24% loss. I laid off my own daughter. This is a family business, and I had to lay off my own daughter. I spent Sunday doing the, Carla's gonna laugh. I had to do math. Math is not my forte. That's why I have lovely people that do math for me. But I had to kind of figure out the whole application form for the grant. Then they said it didn't match the thing, and then I got to do the thing, and the queues for wage subsidy. I just want to circle back to mental health. Because Carla and I sat in a meeting, because I sit on the SME Board of Trade Advisory Group. I also work with Invest Ottawa. We sat in a meeting where people were like weeping because their colleagues are actually suicidal. Their colleagues in small business are actually suicidal. Mental health, I don't, you know, my daughter and I both went to therapy. I have not hugged her in 15 months because she was in the maritime bubble. I had to lay her off. It's just been a lot. And women in business, I have a bit of a problem with that, because we're people in business. It shouldn't just be like we're some kind of like, oh, an afterthought. This is really difficult for people. Particularly women, because we know statistically they're doing most of the education, most of the child rearing, most of the household stuff. In Tanya's case, a lot of the people in the styling industry are women. We are not doing well. I don't mind sharing with all of you. I'm not doing well. I work 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, to try and keep this business afloat for all of the people that I pay and support. So my question is, what are we going to do about that? Because this is going to last for a long time, that we're not doing well. And we as a community of business leaders, I don't care if you're a woman or a man, business leaders who are the backbone of the Canadian economy statistically, and we're not doing well. Sorry, that was a rant. I think it was a
Oh,
rant.
thanks, Timothy. No, it's a very, very valid point that I hear everywhere. Funny you have your dog. I was on a call the other day with the CEO of my local hospital, and she apologized because she was working at her kitchen table while her son had her office. And she said, my dog may start barking. Well, sure enough, her dog starts barking. My dog comes running down the stairs, starts barking because he doesn't know what's going on. Now they're both barking. But I feel like we've, as a result of Zoom, which I actually do love, I never used until the COVID hit, but we are bringing people into our homes, right? Our dogs, our cats, our kids that come through the screen. Or I was on a call today, a little boy was sitting on Grandpa's lap eating his granola bar on his juice box, part of the conversation, and that's just normal. And what's wrong with that? It's actually kind of nice. We're seeing that personal side of people too. And I may have a dress on, but I'm wearing jogging pants underneath. So I thought it was a good reason to put makeup on today.
And then we'll just show that. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like we're not doing well because isolation is hard. It's like hard.
Well, I actually reached out to a couple of my colleagues last night because prior to Christmas, one of them had actually, kind of funny story, bought us all matching pajamas. And we were supposed to do Zoom calls with a glass of wine at night in our matching jammies. And I was like, hey guys, where are you? Like, I miss you. We haven't done this. I'm ready with my jammies. Where is everyone? So I think we do need to stay connected to people and as best we can, even if it has to be virtually. If you're able to get out and go for a socially distanced walk with a friend, you can do that too. I think the more we can connect and pick up the phone and call, text, whatever it is, stay connected to your friends and family and your colleagues in the business world too. When I was on my chamber call today, somebody was saying, how do you access all these programs if you're not really good with a computer? And I was like, you know what? My office is there to help. Goldie's office is there to help, right? Like I've seen my staff on FaceTime before helping somebody go online to fill out something. Chambers are there to keep people connected in that networking too. So I think, we really have to rely on each other to get through this and come together. But, there are mental health supports available. You can go to the ontario.ca website. There is lots of resources, but also connections to be able to do virtual counseling. And, prior to complete lockdown, I was in North Bay in the fall, and we were at a counseling service, and they were showing us in their boardroom, they pulled up a client and a counselor who had agreed to show us, what this looks like and kind of give us some feedback. But, they're at home having this conversation and they still are completely connected and, the resources are available. So I really encourage people to look for those too. And, it can be the face-to-face virtual conversations, or maybe it's just resources that are available, but there is lots of information on our provincial website that I encourage people to look at. But again, just trying to connect with people as you can. If it's a glass of wine in your jammies at night, it helps too.
Sorry, I don't want to take more of your time.
That's okay.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you very much, Timothy. MPP Gamari, the next question is coming from Sula Burrell, who is part of the Women's Business Network. Many people in Ottawa. Sula. So Sula, would you like to go ahead with your question, please? There's Sula. Oh, Sula, do you mind unmuting for me, please?
Word of the year, you're muted. Thank you for the invite, and I see many women from our network here today, so welcome to all the Women in Business Network. I would like to ask a question, and I will precede it with a statement. Women-led businesses are a key driver of our economic activity in Ontario. Women account for 37% of self-employed Canadians. Challenges for women entrepreneurs have been amplified during this pandemic, as many have found themselves ineligible for support. If we're serious about our economic recovery, I feel we need to better evaluate and address the challenges faced by women in business and other underrepresented groups of women in business. My question is, what critical services are available to women specifically in business? And are there grants that help entrepreneurs that are unable to pay for the support of writing a grant? I hang on the tails of all the women that have spoken before me, and I know my question is embedded within everything that has been asked and answered. Thank you for your time.
Oh, thanks, Sula. Good point. And I would follow up by saying the other statement would be, can everyone hear me? But no, you made a good point about the high representation of women in small businesses. I agree. As far as critical services, there's I wouldn't say there's any specific services for women-led businesses, but I would suggest that, you know, working with chambers and CDC. I know in my area I have a CDC who've been fabulous at providing the outreach and connection for people to be able to access, to get help with grant writing. Because like I said, we know that business owners are not typically grant writers. You haven't had to do this in the past, but now you're faced with that. So we do want that process to be easy. And, you know, our offices are there to help support that, as well as some of the local chambers, CDCs, any kind of business support programs. You know, it is in some of theirs in their mandate to help with that. So I would encourage reaching out as being a good resource. I can't say specifically in Ottawa. Goldie might have a better idea of some of the local supports.
Yeah, so my office, you know, I have 3 full-time staff, and my office works with both local municipal councillors as well as our federal counterparts. So even if there's something that you hear or see about, or even if you're looking for information, if you contact my office, we can direct you to the right group or organization who can provide that specific support. So, I mean, we are here as a resource, and what I always say to my constituents in Carleton is, if you need help or if you need information and you don't know where to go, call my office, because even if it's not something that we can assist you with, we can at least provide you with a phone number or with a contact info or some guidance on where you can go to get those supports.
Can we have your contact office information, please?
Absolutely. I will post it here in the chat, but if you would like, the phone number is 613-838-4425. But the best way to contact me is using my website. I've actually posted the link in the chat, so a little bit further up at goldympp.ca/contact. And I encourage everyone to use that form, because I get a lot of spam and junk mail in my inbox. Anyone who fills out that form, like an Outlook inbox full, and basically it gets prioritized and gets bumped up to the top of the list with all the other constituent inquiries. So email is probably the best way. Thank you.
I was also going to suggest too, there's the Connects Ontario, and they're there to offer free services. I can put that in the chat, as well as 211. That's a good number to contact, these kind of as a starting point too for any of those services that may be available. So I can put those in the chat.
Thank you so much. I will pass this information along. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sula, MPP Gamari, and Ms. Dunlop. Thank you very much. That's wonderful. Up next, the question is going to come from Amy Rensby. Amy is in Smiths Falls, my adopted second home. And Smiths Falls got a special place for me. So please go ahead, Amy.
Thanks very much, Mike. And I will check, can everyone hear me? Because I do have my headset on. So my comments and question are specifically in the rural context. We're about an hour outside of Ottawa, and in speaking with a number of my female colleagues in business locally, they find that the challenges that women in business experience generally are compounded by our rural location. So for example, we do not have in the area English as a second language programs, or support services for newcomers who have located here. Things like banking hours tend to be much shorter, and I understand and realize that's not within the provincial government's purview. But things like basic services are only open during business hours when we're trying to run businesses. Things like business coaching, business mentoring. I love hearing about, the Women in Business Network in Ottawa. We do not have that here. Anything that we do have is organized between business owners, and we do that as much as we can. But there is not a lot of formal programming available or organized programming available. And so one of the things that I wanted to ask was, is there anything on the province's radar with respect to women in business in rural areas specifically? And on the flip side, is there anything that I can be doing with my municipal colleagues to push these concerns or gaps up the line to you and your colleagues?
Well, thanks, Amy. That's a good question. I also live in rural Ontario. I didn't mention I'm the MPP for Simcoe North, so I'm about 45 minutes north of Barrie. Not that northern, but a rural area. So no, I do recognize the lack of resources in rural Ontario. I was just, as we're talking, I was thinking of like I said, the benefits of Zoom and these virtual meetings, and not knowing how long they're going to last. But I wonder if it's an opportunity for your local area to be able to connect in with the Ottawa area and have access to these kind of supports when they're probably meeting virtually as well. Because I know that would, it would probably be helpful to connect and have that mentorship opportunity. Because I think that is so important for all of us. And I know, specifically for women, I think we really benefit from having that coaching and mentorship available. I don't know if you were able to access any of the Digital Main Street program, but that was, the application process is closed now, but there's still online resources open for businesses, which I've heard from some of my local female-run businesses, and I look at how amazing they've been and how creative business owners have been in this time, like businesses that, were not online whatsoever in the beginning, who gradually started. And, I was doing some online local shopping the other day for Valentine's Day, and it's incredible to see just how much they've grown in that time and gone from, basically Instagram highlights to now an online presence. So I think there's opportunities there online to have access to those resources that would be good for business owners that we're all able to access. So I think, those are a couple of my suggestions, but yes, rural Ontario is always on our radar, and ensuring that, you have access to the supports and resources that you need to be as successful as your colleagues in the larger cities.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Minister. The next question, I think I mentioned to you that I am a college professor at Algonquin, and I have many current and former students on right now. I would like to ask Miss Megan Laver to go ahead. She was my student about 6 years ago. Nice to see you, Megan. Please go ahead.
Hi there. Thank you for having me. I actually wanted to touch base on something related to music and the arts. Currently, I'm a manager at a cafe, and we've had to completely change our business model and just have a takeout window and not have anybody come in. And being a female performer and singer-songwriter in the Ottawa area, I think the entertainment industry has taken such a huge hit, and there aren't spaces for musicians to currently perform. I think that the entertainment industry is kind of like a therapeutic industry in a way. A lot of people are turning to movies and music to get through this pandemic. And I guess I just want to know from you, what sort of supports do you have for performers, and what the plan is moving forward for having performers have safe spaces to play once doors start opening back up?
Question, Megan, and you're totally correct. Music and arts is very therapeutic, and I'm sure there's lots of us who have, as we've been stuck at home, have been binge watching some sort of Netflix type show over this time. But I think it's an important piece, and Susanna talked about it earlier about the hidden festivals, and so it's all around that impact on the festival right down to the artists themselves. So that's something that Goldie and I, our colleague Mr. McLeod, who's also from your local area, has been working on in her ministry too, to ensure that there are supports moving forward for folks like yourselves in the entertainment industry. So I think it's an ongoing discussion in her ministry.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Megan. Nice to see you. Thank you, Minister. The next question that I have coming up is from, sorry, something just closed on me here. There we go. I'm going to ask Erling Garb to come forward. She owns a bridal boutique, another industry that's been crushed by COVID. Please go ahead, Erling.
Unmute. Can you hear me? Sorry. Thanks, Mike, for inviting me, and thank you, Minister Dunlop and MPP Gamari, for listening to our concerns. A lot of my colleagues here have kind of echoed the same sentiment that I have, but being part of the wedding industry, which has been the event industry in general, which has been devastated by the pandemic, I just the question that I have is, how are we going to get back into the gatherings, the social gatherings? How how are we going to move forward with things like that? Owning a bridal boutique, we're affected in different ways, in many ways, because not only have we been reduced to 50% capacity in our operations, in addition to being closed for 5 months, but we also have been seeing a decrease in just people coming in, because weddings are not happening, because people aren't getting married, or people are postponing their weddings or rescheduling. Mike, and I think I see Julia there, who also owns a bridal shop, so she can attest to that. But we do have, when we do reopen, even in full capacity, I think there will be a lot of impact to our industry in general. So how do we get back to kind of, and I know that's not a question that you can answer in totality, but how can we kind of help people in this industry to get back on their feet? Because we're being kind of hit in so many different angles, I guess. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for that question. And, we do recognize that it's your area has been, or your sector has been hit incredibly hard. And actually, Goldie and I had a couple of our colleagues who were married this summer too. But I spoke actually to one of my local men's stores, who's a tuxedo supplier, and they were saying that, if women aren't buying wedding dresses and bridesmaid dresses, they're definitely not getting tuxedos. So it's like that ripple down effect. And, it's such a huge sector when you look beyond, just the bridal party themselves. It's the venues where they're hosted. It's the caterers, the artists that are involved, the musicians, the florists, everything. So it is a huge industry that, will be probably a long time till it fully recovers, because even as things open, again, it's going to open in small bits, small gatherings. And, to get back to the days where you have weddings that were, hundreds of people, I can't imagine that when that time will come that we'll be safely able to do that. So, you are on our radar, and it has been something that has been discussed many times at with finance. And, I would hope that the supports that we have in place now, that you are able to apply for them. I know it's probably seems like a small bit compared to the difficulties you're dealing with, but we're trying to hear from the sector and take it back and have that as a consideration when we're making these decisions in what funding looks like and moving forward.
Thank you very much, Minister. Ladies, I have received a note that both Minister Dunlop and MPP Gamari do have another meeting they must attend at 12:30. So at this point, we will have to say thank you very much to you both for joining us It was wonderful, and I assume that if any of the people on the call today would like to get hold of your office, that would be possible moving forward.
Yes, please do. It's like I said, it's energizing to be with a great group of women and having these discussions. And I know you're all working so hard, not just at your business, but all the other responsibilities that you're taking on at this time, and probably like always are always taking on. But please continue to keep up the good work. We're trying to support you as best we can, and we're staying together in this. And let's hope for good news as we move forward.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Minister, and thank you, Michael, for organizing this. Michael, I think you should know by now. You mentioned you've seen me quite often, so I think you should know by now that I don't like MPP Gamari. It's much too formal. I always prefer Goldie. And so to everyone here, please, like I'm just Goldie. So even if you do reach out to my office, we're here. And I know sometimes it might seem like reaching out to an elected official might be a little bit daunting, or you've never done it before. But I promise you, we're all human. Minister Dunlop and myself, we've obviously had lives prior to this, and everyone in the WBN knew me as Goldie. So even if I'm not your MPP, but if you need assistance, my office is here, and we're happy to help. So please feel free to reach out. And thank you, Minister, for all your input today, and thank you, Michael, for organizing this. And take care, everyone.
Nice to meet you, Mike.
Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Michael.
You're very welcome.